back to Everything Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Shinry, here at the Everything Anime Podcast, everything from anime, manga, video games, TV shows, and whatever relevant topic of fact talking about, including webtoons. And today we are going to talk about all of Solo Leveling, chapters 1 through 179. I am aware there's chapters 180 to 205, but that is post the death of the author Chung-Gong. I might be saying that incorrectly. I don't mean to be insensitive. I'm just not used to saying that kind of name. But I highly enjoyed his story. I'm going to talk about my relationship with it, some of my thoughts with it, some things that I thought were really interesting, some things I thought could have been different. I let's see, where should I start? Because I can start there. So I originally was going to do this like how I do my manga reviews, like show you the guys, the panels and things I'm talking about, to like guide you through the story if you're not watching or you just want like the basic rundown of it. But that video got taken down because you can't use images from Webtoon. Shonen Jump doesn't seem to mind, and again, I'm not doing it for any like propaganda thing. It's just because I love talking about anime and manga, and some of my friends don't read everything I'm into. Some of my friends aren't caught up, so I can talk to people in the comments, or people that watch my videos might be like, "Oh my god, this is gonna get me into it." So that's why I do it. But when I originally did Solo Leveling is because my friend Johan, who's in the Air Force, I was going to go with him, but, well, that's a whole different other story. But he tried to get me into Solo Leveling, and at first I wasn't interested. I was like a guy that, like, becomes the strongest, and, you know, it was one of those, like, I already know the ending before the story even starts, because Chapter 0 is talking about how, what is his name? I think it's hold on one second. Sung Jin-woo. I might be saying that wrong too. We're gonna call him Sung though. I was the very first chapter talked about like how he was an E-rank hunter. He rose up to become the strongest hunter in the world. He's an S-rank hunter. So I was like, you already kind of told me before the story even starts how it ends. Like My Hero Academia's original opening, this is the story how I became the world's greatest hero. I mean, obviously they changed it now, but that was the original opening of My Hero Academia. This is the story how I became the world's greatest hero. You know that Naruto was going to become Hokage from the first episode. You know Luffy's going to become the king of pirates by the end. You know Ichigo was going to become... Anyways, you know Ichigo's going to be the strongest at the end of the day. So I was like, and that's not to say that can be bad. Knowing the end of a story doesn't matter as long as the ride and the adventure is fun. But I was like, I'll give it a chance. I watched the first 12 episodes, season 1, on, like probably everybody else, on Crunchyroll / maybe it was Netflix. I think it was Crunchyroll though. And I was somewhat enjoying it. I was kind of zoned out sometimes though. First episode, phenomenal. I talked about that in my first 10 chapters of Solo Leveling, the whole giant god, and you got to follow like the statues, like commandments basically, but then again it's just fucking with you because it doesn't matter if you follow the commandments, it's gonna kill everybody anyway. Oh, that twist was crazy, bitch. And then you got to see like the worst of humanity, the good in humanity, you know. And Solo Leveling has a lot of that. It has a lot of that all throughout it. So I'm gonna kind of be jumping around. Now, I actually finished Solo Leveling, I think it was before New York Comic Con. I want to say I finished Solo Leveling in August or September, but I wasn't ready to talk about it yet. Or I think I was planning on it, but I just had a lot more things going on. But I wish I had talked about it because it would have been fresh out of my mind. Right now I'm just trying to recall from memory. But I remember liking it a lot. The way Sung does level up, it's called a reawakening. It's not unusual for a hunter to reawaken. You can awaken, like that's what it's called, when like the first hunters appeared, like, you know, like you were either born with the gift of, you were either given the gift of awakening because you weren't born into it. It's just happened one day when a portal opened up in the world and people realized they had powers, people realized they had magical weapons. Oh, and the twist there, we'll get there too, but you know, you might start with E to S rank, and the story kind of makes you think that Sung is the only E rank. But it's really, he's an E rank that always goes into dungeons because, you know, he's doing it for his mother. His mother's in a coma. She felt sickness. She fell to the sickness, like, I think it's called Can't Awaken. Solo Leveling. Sorry, I normally have my notes already ready for this, but again, the eternal sleep curse. That's what it was. And so, his mother's in the hospital, his sister's going to school, so he's kind of, and his dad, left a picture as far as we know. His dad is dead overseas. We don't know. We do find out in this manga what happened to him. Again, very crazy, random twist. I'm going to try to, piece it all together for you guys, but it's bigger than I thought it would be. That's for sure. Not as simple as I thought it would be. But, where am I going? Where am I going with this in my mind? That's why he's the only E rank hunter that'll keep going into these dangerous dungeons. Usually a D rank or a C rank, but never anything higher because he's always on the verge of death. And ironically, that's why he gets chosen. So in the first dungeon they go into, I think it was supposed to be a D to C rank dungeon, nothing super high. But then it turned into a double dungeon, and double dungeons are rare. It's when there's so when you go to these portals, you enter a dungeon, which is controlled by all these magical beasts and whatnot. And the only way to close the dungeon is to beat the dungeon boss, like a video game. And that's what it's going to be compared to as well. Like how Sung gets his reawakening. That's what his reawakening is going to be compared to. But if you don't beat a dungeon boss within 7 days, the portal breaks and it's called a dungeon break. Or the portal opens and it's called a dungeon break. And monsters are unleashed into the real world, where real humans can't defend themselves. Yes, hunters go in there to fight those monsters, to fight the dungeon bosses, and hopefully take them down and close the portals. But humans can die. You can level up. If you can get stronger weapons, but you can't level up traditionally. You either have to awaken, or you have to go to this woman who's a psychic, and she has the power to help you unlock your potential, or your most potential that you can do. I forgot her name, but I love her too. She was a great character addition. Again, I know it sounds like I'm ranting, but again, I finished this 2 months ago, and I'm just gonna go based off memory instead of doing reading all over again to get notes. But so that's why they do these portals almost immediately when they open up. And, there's also, so the hunters go from S to E, but there's also national level hunters who are the top dogs. They are basically they can shut down a country if they want to, because that's how important they are, how strong they are. They're basically a president, basically. Now, so Sung, he went into this double dungeon. Well, he went into one of the dungeons, like he always does, a portal, and it turned to be a double dungeon. And this double dungeon was S rank. And you guys that seen season 1, you already know this. I mean, I think season 2's out, or season 2's coming out. I don't recall where the anime ended. But, that was where that giant god was, and it with the commandments, and it was just fucking with them. And Sung died because he's the last one standing. You thought, I mean, technically everybody could leave, but one had to stay behind. But then again, if you don't beat the dungeon boss anyway, he would eventually, as far as I know, he'd eventually broke out. But there was an exception. When Sung died, he was offered a choice. It was by the Shadow Monarch. Okay, so this kind of where it's going to get confusing. So, when Sung is about to die, he's on the verge of death, it's you have 10 seconds to choose to either become a player or die. You have to answer yes or no. Anything else you say, doesn't matter, you're going to die. He says yes, becomes a player, the double dungeon disappears. I think it's still there because the people that go in there after him, the agents, the agency, they go in there and they check out, hey, this was a double dungeon. Everything Sung said is true, but he's alive. He's not dead. I don't know how. He's an E-rank hunter. He's the weakest hunter of mankind, but he's somehow alive. But he doesn't seem like he reawakened because they have a meter to determine if he reawakened. But Sung has, in a sense, he's the only one that can see these things he has to do every day, do 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups, run 100 miles or something like that, like these One Punch Man tasks. And his body physically changes as well, but it increases his stamina, his knowledge, his strength ability, his physical assets, and people in real life can see it. They don't understand it, but over time they realize Sung is not an E-rank hunter. No matter how many times we try to gauge him, he is getting, I think he goes from E to, easily C, and then, gets up to A, and then S, and then national rank hunter. Again, this is all over 179 chapters. But It's crazy, and people, they keep underestimating Sung, and then because they underestimate him, thinking that he's an E-rank hunter, he like easily dispatches these guys. Now, some of these guys are just plain evil. Like, there's one guy who he goes into this dungeon with these criminals, and Sung and like Jung Ho, Jo Lee, I think her name was, and like the old man from the first tunnel, they kind of go with Sung, and at this point, Sung's like leveled up. But this guy's like an assassin. He kills the criminals because like he's just like crazy as fuck. And because Jo Hee and the old man saw him, he's gonna kill them too. But then Sung shows up and blocks him. And he's like, "Oh, how are you fighting me? Like, you must have got lucky. You're an E-rank hunter." But Sung kicks his ass. Jo Lee and the old man see it, and they're like, "Okay, you've definitely reawakened, but you haven't told anybody this." And you know, he gets different kind of powers. Now, Sung's main thing is that, okay, so this is why it's going to get kind of confusing. It's going to get very confusing. There are like 8 or 9 monarchs. And monarchs are like these like Titan level dungeon bosses. Like they are like, monarchs. They're Titans. And Sung was specifically chosen by Death. Like the personification of the Shadow Monarch Death. And so he chose Sung because Sung has been on the verge of death his entire life. Always going into dungeons, always losing his life. Being revived by Jo Hee, but then going right back in there because he needed the money. It didn't matter about Death. The Shadow Monarch didn't care about his motivations. He was just awed by someone that was afraid of dying. So he offered Sung, like, you know, hey, become the new monarch, take my place, take my powers. So Sung can now, anytime he defeats somebody, he can like resurrect them as a shadow, as one of his underlings of the dead, underlings of the underworld, and like make them his minions. Now they start kind of back at like a lower rank. They're not as strong as when he first fought them, but they can level up over time the more they fight. Like from like level 1 to like 120. At one point he thinks 100 is the max, and that's what you think like in a regular video game. But then he like breaks the limit and they go like higher than that. And he gets all crazy kind of shadows, like this knight, a giant polar bear, these giant red ape things, a devil, a dragon, a fucking one of his enemies that he fought becomes one of his minions. It's crazy, man. And that's one of the reasons why sorry about that. That's one of the reasons why Sung is so incredibly strong, is because whenever he defeats his opponents, he makes them his minions, and they fight for him. Oh, a chimera ant. Well, not literally a chimera ant. I call them chimera ants because it reminded me of Hunter x Hunter's like season with like, what's it, Marium? Y'all know the chimera ant from Hunter x Hunter. It's like that. Crazy, man. And they all are like loyal to him. Now, some shadows can reject him if they're stronger than him. They don't like respect him even if he defeated him. But by the end, Sung has like an army of like 1,000 shadows. It's fucking ridiculous. He can even swap places with his shadows. Like it's like flying Thunder God technique, like how Minato can like leave a kunai somewhere with his tag and then teleport to it. It's like that. And you know, even though Sung has these minions, he still has to train himself to get stronger because there's always like another guy stronger than him. Now, ultimately, the overarching story of this, like all of it, the reason why these portals exist is because there's a war between like these like titans of light, like these angelic like creatures, and the monarchs. And Sung is just caught in the middle of it. Like, because the death chose him to be a monarch in his place, Sung is now like stuck between this battle. So this battle had already apparently taken place. Okay, so this is weird and this is annoying because time travel is involved. The thing about time travel, I've done it as well in Shobu Samurai. I've done it as well as Next Generation series. If you read my books, you know about the Shinry series and time travel. When you introduce time travel, you got to have some rules and you got to make them clear and you got to follow them. It does have rules. I believe it follows them, but I did get a little bit lost sometimes. But apparently, this war had already happened. We all lost. We all died. But someone I think the Shadow Monarch reset time to allow us to go back and try to fight again. Correct me in the comments if you finish solo leveling and you know exactly what I'm talking about and you can rephrase this better. But I know it's something like that. I finished this 2 months ago. That's why I wish I had talked about it freshly. But Sung eventually fights this person of light. I think he loses. No, so by the very end, like the very end, like Sung. Oh, and the story picks up pretty fast. Like once Sung reaches like national level, which I think was like chapter 120 or something like that, the last 50 chapters are prepping for war. Like everybody, hunters. He's like, I don't care if you're E rank, I don't care if you're S rank, I don't care if you're a national level hunter. What is coming, bitch? We all gotta be ready to fight against. Oh, and then speaking of Sung's dad was possessed by one of these people of light. And so 10 years ago, I think he died. He got possessed, as well as the chairman. The chairman got possessed by one of them light people, but they're the good ones. And they came to warn the humans about like this war that's coming. And ultimately, like Sung, he gets like a last minute with his father. It's kind of like that movie. Well, who was with Spider-Man and Chris Pratt? Well, you know, like the father where he was like all legs or whatever, but like only the brother got to see him. The other brother never got to talk to his dad. It's kind of like that. Like Sung gets to talk to his dad, but it's not really his dad because his father again is possessed by like the angel of light. So when they do talk, his father's dying. He says like, "I'm sorry I wasn't there for you, but I'm proud of the man you became," and you know, he awakens. Also, that's also why Sung's mother's in the eternal sleep. It's because when a hunter reaches like a certain level, like a certain like strength, and they're like way too strong, it like puts the person that's closer to them like in an eternal slumber. It happens to the chairman, I believe. He like, was it the chairman? No, it was old boy's father. Like Sung eventually forms his own guild. Okay, so again, that's what I'm saying. I'm jumping around. So like in Black Clover, how like there's all these like Magic Knight captains. There's like 10 or so guilds across all. I think there's like 5 in where the story takes place, and like 5 in North America, etc., etc. But basically, like there's all these guilds, and once you reach like a rank like C or higher, I think D or higher, but usually C or higher, these like guild masters like want to come and recruit you. And once they hear about Sung, they're like, "Oh, Sung, we heard you like leveling up. You reawakened. It's like at the point where Sung gets like to like B rank to A rank, but then he starts taking on these S rank class guild masters. And so Sung's like, you know, y'all all too weak for me. I'm forming my own guild. And Sung's guild is literally like him and his best friend, who is it's called the Ajin Guild. Very weird name. But I'm trying to remember who was the name of that kid that goes with them. Eugene Ho? That's not right. I can't remember, but he's like a rich kid. We meet him like very early on. He's very sweet, very kind boy. But I think he's like a basic rank, but like he has like high level armor and stuff like that. But anyways, it's just a guild with those two. Eventually, like, he gets this new love interest. Oh God, I really should have done all my research before this again. Sung Jin-hoo's girlfriend. What's her name? Chahae? Oh my God, Cha. I thought his love interest was going to be Joe Lee from the beginning of the story, because, you know, like, she had a crush on him. She asked him to take him on a date. But eventually, like, she just goes out of the story. Like, she comes back again, like I said, during that assassin arc where, like, he kills all the prisoners and tries to kill Joe Hee and the other person. Because, Joe Hee got freaked out after seeing that giant S-rank demon god creature. Understandably so. Like, that thing was fucking crazy. She's a B-rank hunter, B-rank healer. Oh, yeah. Again, I know if you've seen Soul Leveling, I don't have to explain too much. But yeah, there's different kinds of like, besides some classes, there's healers, mages with fire powers, ice powers. Again, Sung's is the shadow necromancer. That's what he is. He's a necromancer slash shadow monarch slash death. So he can bring people back to life. That's his title. Again, all over the place. But yeah, so Jolie was a B rank healer, and she was in love with Sung, but like he didn't end up her. He falls in love with this girl named Cha-Hee, who I think was an A rank hunter or an S rank hunter, and like her main thing was that she smelled people. Like the stronger your rank was, she could smell if you were like a good or bad she could smell if you were a good or bad person, and sometimes it's too overwhelming. But Sung particularly, she was like, he smells really good. Which is ironic because the stronger Sung gets, the more this like darkness takes over him. Like at one point, the like woman that can like help you reach your full potential, she tries to like awaken, like help Sung reach his like mass potential, and she freaks the fuck out. She's like Light when he saw Ryuk for the first time, she freaked the fuck out. She's like, what the fuck? She was like, all I saw was darkness, and it told me to get the fuck out, basically. But Sung stays his good self because the necromancer, Death, the Shadow Monarch, kind of likes him, as I said. Like, he's like, I chose you, and, oh yeah, so, let me explain one other thing. When I say, like, Sung lost. Sung dies at some part in the story, and that's where he meets the necromancer Death. And Death gives him like a chance to like live out his life as if like he never fucking went through any of this. Like no E-rank hunter business. He lives his normal life. But eventually Sung's like, something ain't right. And so he meets the necromancer, the Shadow Monarch, who explains everything basically. And he's like, hey, you can stay here and live in this bliss, never have to like, basically eternal slumber. You never have to wake up and fight again. Or you can go back, fight them. Kind of like Harry got the choice to go back and fight Voldemort because Dumbledore was like, hey, you can get on that train and go back to wherever you want. Or you can stay here and just live in peace. You ain't got to worry about it more, Harry. You're dead. Sung decides to go back. And he's like, Death, you rest. I'm going to take over. So, yeah, that darkness inside Sung, it scares her. But honestly, Death is kind of like cool with Sung. He's like, hey, I ain't tripping, man. Go out there, do your thing. Ultimately though, he ends up with her. I think she has like light powers or something like that. I forgot specifically. But no one is at Sung's level. Like Sung is that national level hunter. Sung is that bitch. He's got no cap to his power. But yeah, originally they lost the war between the Shadow Monarchs and the monarchs and the light angel things, but Sung reversed time with all his knowledge and his shadows, redid everything. But like, bitch, he like, because he knew everything, he like made sure that events, like basically, like if we had the power to control time and like impact things, we would obviously stop 9/11. We would stop the assassination of like during the time that we're alive. We can't go back in time like any period of time, but like the points that we're alive, like 9/11. Not to get too political, but the whole Black Lives Matter thing with the dude that got his neck stepped on and he couldn't breathe, the woman that died in her sleep because the cops broke in, all kinds of crazy things. The mass shootings at like, these like concerts and parades, we can stop all that because we know in advance. That's kind of what Sung does. He like goes through, when he reverses time, he like makes sure shit goes the way he wants it to. And then when he goes to fight the light angels one more time, he's like, I'm gonna handle this myself. And he does, because he's that bitch. He got all that knowledge, she's got all that power. The enemies are also, I'm forgetting to mention, before I forget to mention, because I'm still on the subject, even though he reversed time, the enemies also, the monarchs and the angels also remember everything. But Sung's still that bitch, and he still whoops all their asses. Sung eventually, though, by the end of the chapter, the people closest to him, he helps them like remember by like kind of like tapping their forehead or something, like doing the whole Itachi thing. Like, I'm gonna give you back to memories. Like when like Light got the Death Note back from L, and he like screamed because all the memories flooding to him. That's kind of what happens too. But again, I know like this is very confusing. Oh, it's already a 25-minute video. I would not expect to be this long, and I don't expect to say too much more. But again, overall, I'm just saying like Solo Leveling, the whole twist with there being like monarchs who are titans and these light angels, and they're going to war, and we're just like caught in the middle. Crazy. I did not expect that explanation about why portals exist and why humans have powers and so they could fight against these monsters. But again, just fucking amazing and very fun. I loved how Sung leveled up. I guess I do respect that he didn't fall in love with Jolie because he is a teenager. At least it's portrayed that in the story. And, you know, we fall out of love. We fall in love again. And, you know, the first love might not be the person you end up with. It could be, but not always. And so I kind of respect that. And, you know, again, I know that there's chapters 180 to 205, but the original author died, and I feel like I want to talk about his story, the way he wrote it. Even though I know whoever continued that definitely did out of respect for the author. They love the story as well. And again, I don't want this video to be over 30 minutes long because there's no notes. I'm just going based off of memory. But overall, I'm saying read the Solo Leveling webtoon or watch it as it comes out on Crunchyroll. It is a fucking amazing story. This could easily be like 10 seasons, 7 to 10 seasons easily. I can see that. And I can't wait to watch it all. I'm a person that I like to read the manga first to get the author's interpretation and then watch the anime. Because sometimes the anime can drag it out. Sometimes it's a filler. If you've seen me talk about Tokyo Ghoul recently, Tokyo Ghoul's anime goes way ahead of the anime. Manga. By episode 3, I was lost and confused because I was like, the manga is still like on this part. And I just got to chapter 35 in the manga, and now it's where the anime is on episode 3. So that is a whole lot of skipping. I'm assuming Tokyo Ghoul is only one season. Based off that, I do not know. But I think I will probably finish all of Tokyo Ghoul before I watch the anime based off the way that the anime is just flying through those arcs. Again, this video's pretty long. I'm actually surprised it's this long, but I'm very happy. Again, sorry to the guy that passed away. I think his name was Chung Gong. Again, I could be saying that wrong. Very sorry, but respect to you. I love great stories. I'm an author myself. Check out the Shinry series. I will plug it in here. But again, massive respect to him. Definitely check out the Solo Leveling webtoon. I'll probably eventually go back to Tower God. Tower God is so confusing and I definitely fell off of that. But so glad I actually got into this. Thank you, Johan, for allowing me to check this out. Anyways, guys, that's all for this video. Talk to you next one. See you later. Bye.
Hey guys, this video was sponsored by me, the author of the Shinry series, the Chronicles of Wayne, and Monsterverse. So I figured I'd do this outro a little bit different by showing you guys what you guys will be checking out. So, the Shinry series starts with Book 1, Shobu Samurai Project Aryoku. 10 years after the death of his parents, Shobu Samurai returns home seeking vengeance, but instead faces the choice to save his home from shadow creatures, blood beasts, and an organization once thought dead. Shinry's Shobu Samurai starts at $9.99. And if you love anime, manga, Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, Yu Yu Hakusho, Fairy Tail, Shaman King, Rave Master, Zatch Bell, anything like that, the Shinry series is definitely the series for you. You'll definitely want to check it out. The Sword of Light is probably the thickest one so far. And then these books are 2. This is Enter the Dread Zone Tournament. And the series original ending, Arado the Legendary Konjuis Master. So, and I'll just show you guys some of the covers. Really proud of all of these. But I hope you guys check it out. If you don't like that, I also have the current published books for the Chronicles of Wayne, Love Be Damned, Cotton Candy, Full Moons, Fabled Lovers, A Cursed Virgin's Bite. If You Go Where Monsters Dance, Red will Rain Over Your House. Love Be Damned. Now, the Chronicles of Wayne is about a geeky guy, or a nerdy guy in high school. His senior year, he has a crush on the hottest guy in school, because of course he does. He's only got one best friend, and her name is Barb. Well, the hottest guy in school turns out to be a werewolf. And, to make the story more interesting, he bites Wayne and turns Wayne into the first ever wolfman in the last 10 years. And because of that, it was also a sacred law that wolfmen should never be created. I don't want to get into too much of the Chronicles of Wayne without spoiling it, but I can tell you it's very short. This one sells for $6.99, and Love BK's right after it. The ending of this trilogy, Love Be Liberated, comes out in October. So I'm going to definitely do a more full in-depth review of this one. But yeah, it's an LGBT fantasy fiction story about werewolves, vampires, white witches, a dark warlock, and, well, many, many more surprises to come. So if you guys like to read, I definitely recommend. These are all the books so far in the Shinry series, except for Shinry's Beginning. I do have that one, but it's just not here with me. But yeah, I appreciate a like, support, or just a review on Amazon. Either way, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great day.